use your Photoshop file with your name on it. In this lesson, you will need your Photoshop name file that you created. We will discuss selections and layers. Our goal is to take these different elements and move them onto their own layers. Good news is you already have a head start. When you created the type for your name, it made its own layer. You can see that here. The I means that it's visible or not visible. These are layers. They're like pieces of paper stacked one on top of the next. You can see them and have them visible or not, but you can only work on them if they're active. The highlight, select, active layer. So you want to make sure that you highlight and select the active layer. Now I can work on the background. When you're new to Photoshop, it can be helpful to turn off all of the layers except for the one you're working on. We're going to get started with the selection tools at the top. The Move tool is at the very top, and then there is the set of selection tools that have to do with Marquee. The next set is the Lasso set, and then the last set is making selections based on value. In order to move something, we first have to select it or isolate it using dots or pixels. You have to define the selection area for Photoshop. Let it know, hey you, bunch of dots. I want to do something with you. I want to move you. I want to make you bigger. I want to make you smaller. I want to change your color. But you have to start with selecting the dots. Now, let's talk about some selection tools. This first set, they're our roommates, are the Marquee selection tools. There's rectangular Marquee, box, elliptical Marquee, I call that circle, and you can see single row and single column. So elliptical, the circle, we have a great big plate in the middle. That might work well for that. You have to kind of practice a little bit and get it right, or you can hold down Option and go from the center. And that can help you out a little bit more. So again, you're going to hold down the Option key and go from the center. If you get something you don't like, you can go to Select, Deselect. So if you hold down Option and go from the center, you're going to click and drag up to the top right corner. If it's not quite there, you can move it around. Whenever you're on the selection tool, you can move the selection. Once you move to the Move tool, that's when you're moving what's inside of the selection. So a selection tool, you can move the selection. The Move tool moves what's inside of it. You're going to get this bounding box whenever you have a selection. This allows you to make something bigger or smaller. You can also hang out outside the edge and rotate it. More on this later, but this is called the Transform box. Now I want to put this on its own layer. So let's get on our Move tool, and then we can go to Edit. Actually, yes, let's do Copy, and let's do Paste. What happened when we hit Paste? We got our own new layer for the plate. Click 2 times on the word Layer 1, and let's name this Plate. Now let's turn off all the eyes, and we can see this plate is on its own layer. What's cool is once something's on its own layer, you can move it without having to select it because it's isolated. Those bunch of pixels are isolated here. Now you could have more than one plate on this layer, and then you'd have to isolate them again.